If you feel like carbs suddenly started betraying you after 40, you're not imagining it. So maybe before you were able to eat pasta, bread, rice, potatoes, whatever, and your body handled it fine. But now, as a woman over 40, you eat one carb heavy meal and suddenly your energy crashes, your cravings go insane, your stomach gets bloated and puffy, and the scale jumps overnight. So a lot of women, they get to this point and then they think, I can never eat carbs again. And honestly, that's exactly what I thought too when I was struggling with excess weight, PCOS, hormonal issues, infertility, and insulin resistance. I genuinely thought that this is it. No more potatoes, no more pasta, no more rice. And that didn't sit well with me as a girl born in Idaho who's married to an Italian. But here's what changed everything for me. I learned that it isn't just about the carbs. It's about how my body handles the carb. And once I understood that, everything changed. Because yes, insulin resistance matters. And yes, blood sugar matters. They matter a lot. But that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to have to give up carbohydrates forever in order to lose weight as a woman over 40. In fact, the final thing that I'm going to show you today completely changed the way I personally eat carbs now. And most women have never heard of this. If you're new here, my name is Jenny Tonin, and I'm a holistic nutritionist, and I help women over 40 stop spinning their wheels when it comes to diet and exercise. And I help them to finally lose weight in a way that actually works with their body instead of fighting it. And one of the biggest things that I see women doing is panicking about carbs. They're terrified of eating things like bread and rice and potatoes and pasta because they feel like their body can't handle it anymore. If they don't want to gain weight, if they want to lose weight, they think they have to give up these things forever. But here's the problem. The harder most women try to cut out all of those things, the more frustrated and exhausted and obsessive and overwhelmed they become. So instead of teaching you how to fear carbs, today I'm going to show you how to eat them smarter, because that's a really different conversation. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to dramatically reduce blood sugar spikes after meals, why one tiny habit can completely change how your body responds to carbohydrates. And once you understand how all these things work together, that's where things start getting really powerful. So the very first thing, stop eating naked carbs. This matters because if you sit down to eat toast, crackers, chips, cereal, muffins, pasta, well, your blood sugar is going to rise fast. And that means that your body now has to release a larger amount of insulin in order to be able to deal with that. But the moment that you pair your carbohydrates with things like protein, healthy fat, fiber, everything changes. Your digestion will begin to slow down, and that blood sugar spike will usually be much smaller. It also will help you to stay full longer. Your energy will become a lot more stable so you don't feel exhausted afterwards. And this is exactly what I personally do now. So if I'm eating rice, I'm pairing it with protein and a healthy fat. Same goes for if I'm having potatoes. So I never just sit down and eat some giant carb heavy meal by itself anymore because I know how differently I'll feel afterwards. And there's another layer to this too. So certain foods can help you to support blood sugar control before or during your meal. So these are things like apple cider vinegar, Ceylon cinnamon, and ginger. So you can do this really easily. You can do things like put a bit of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water and drink it shortly before you eat your meal. Or you could have a salad and put some apple cider vinegar on top of that. And that will genuinely help reduce that blood sugar response in your meal afterwards. Now, is this magic? No, but this is where I see so many women get stuck, because they think that it has to be this one giant thing. But the truth is that it's usually stacking smaller things on top of one another that begins to change everything. And so speaking of that, the second strategy is one of the simplest, but it's also one of the most overlooked. So after you have a carb heavy meal, the last thing you want to do is be like that weird random family member that we all seem to have that lays down on the couch after the meal. You know, the one at every holiday gathering that's passed out on the couch and snoring while everybody else cleans up the mess. So after your meal, instead of being like weird Uncle Tom, no offense, Uncle Tom, move your body, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And this is one of the easiest ways that you can help your body to use glucose more effectively instead of just having it hanging around in your bloodstream, because your muscles basically act like a sponge when it comes to being able to mop up glucose, but you have to move them in order for that to happen. So if you go for a walk after your meal, your body can actually start pulling some of that circulating sugar into the muscles so that it can actually be used for energy instead of being converted to fat. And that means that you're going to have lower blood sugar spikes. It means that you're going to have a lower insulin demand. It also means that you're going to have better energy and fewer of those crashes afterwards. And personally, I have noticed in my own life how big of a difference this makes. If I'm having a heavier meal and then I go and I sit down immediately afterwards, I feel sluggish. I don't feel like doing anything. I probably am going to pick up the TV remote and watch something or scroll on my phone or just be lazy. And I'll also feel puffy and heavy and not so great. But if I have that same meal and then I go for a short walk afterward, even if I don't feel like it in the first place, well, then I have a totally different experience. And this becomes especially important to women after 40 because improving your insulin sensitivity, that's no longer an option for us. It matters a lot. But the next part is where things can get really interesting, because this is what completely changed how I personally eat carbs now. And before we get into this strategy, if you've been feeling frustrated because your body feels different after 40, I actually created a quiz that helps you to identify your biggest weight loss block, because it can be different things for different women. We're not all the same. For some of us, absolutely, it's insulin resistance. Others, it can be stress or underfueling and metabolism problems. So if you want clarity on what is actually going to help your body specifically, then I'll link that quiz below and it can help you understand what your biggest personal block is. So here's the fascinating thing. You can actually change how certain carbs behave in your body based on how you prepare them. And I know that might seem crazy, right? But this is something called resistant starch. And this happens to different starches, things like potatoes, rice, and even pasta. So when you cook these things and then you allow them to cool down, before you eat them, well, once they're cool, part of that starch actually changes structure. So instead of these starches being rapidly digested, like if you just cooked them and ate them when they were hot, some of these starches become what's called resistant starch. And these resistant starches, they help us in so many ways. They're actually really good for us. But some of the ways that they benefit are they help to reduce that blood sugar response when you're eating carbs, but they also help you to improve fullness and even help to feed the beneficial little gut bacteria that we want to feed in our digestive tract. Think of things like potato salad, pasta salad, leftover rice, meal prepped potatoes, cooled and reheated rice, because yes, you can cool them down and you don't have to eat them cold. You can actually reheat them again and still maintain these benefits. So the first time that I learned this, I had no idea about it and my mind was actually blown. And then I dug into the research and I found all kinds of incredible benefits that come from eating resistant starches. Because again, I thought that the answer had to be that I could never eat carbs again. But instead, what I learned is that there are smarter ways to eat them. And that is a completely different mindset that felt really liberating because I didn't have to be afraid of them and I didn't have to be restricted anymore. But here's the part where this becomes extremely powerful. So it's not about just applying one of these strategies by themselves. They're all good. They all help. I encourage you to experiment with them. but it's the stacking of them where the real power is. So think of it this way. If you cook rice and then you cool it and then you eat it cool, or either you reheat it again, but then you pair it with protein and healthy fat. Maybe you sprinkle a little apple cider vinegar on it or have it in your glass of water beforehand. And then afterwards, you go for that 10-minute walk. That's going to give your body a completely different metabolic experience than if you were to, say, eat a giant bowl of pasta with marinara sauce on it and then go lay down on the couch afterwards. Same person, same amount of carbohydrates, very different response. And that's why I always say after 40, your body is looking for support. It's not looking for punishment. If you've been feeling discouraged because it feels like you can't get away with eating carbs anymore, and you think that you're doomed to a life where you're going to have to miss them forever or not feel so good afterward, then please hear me when I say this. You don't have to fear carbs as a woman over 40. For most of us, the answer is not going to be more restriction. It's all about understanding how to work with your body instead of against it. And once you understand that, everything starts feeling so much less hopeless, and you start feeling like this is possible. I'd love to know in the comments below, what one of these strategies are you most excited to try first? Or are you going to stack them all together? And if you're looking for more practical and realistic midlife weight loss support, that's what this channel is all about. And I do it in a way that helps you to make it fit in real life. And be sure to go to my website, sublimestate.com, or check out all the links I have in the description below, because there I have a whole host of resources specifically made for us women over 40 to help you drop that excess weight and keep it off and look and feel better from the inside out. If this video helped, then please like it and consider subscribing to the channel. That helps me, absolutely, but it also helps get this information out to other women who are struggling with how to make this all work in their lives. So you're helping them too. I'll see you in the next video.